All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to call it 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the third East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter, and we've got a very special guest in the house today. His name is Cooper. I don't know if Cooper has a screen name or not, but Cooper's in the house. Oh, yes, and his human, Poppy Shaney. So good to see you. We also have Thomas the Turtle in the house, and we've got Terry coming in with a raiding party. Looks like Shock, of course, is here letting us know what, when, and where the schedule is. And Katie Zora in, I'm thinking, with that Terry raid. And you know what? It's quite possible that Thomas the Turtle also came in on that there raid. Thomas the Turtle subscribed for 36 months in a row. Fantastic. Beatty Bo came in with that there raid. Good to see you there, Beatty Bo. I think your mom was on the stream a couple streams ago. She seems like a very nice person. And I wanted to thank you for the tip on Good to Go. We will talk about that in a minute. But since it looks like we've got a crowd gathered, etc., we might as well at least get the party started. All right, now we're back. Yes, Beanie Bo, I did try Too Good To Go. For those of you who don't know, Too Good To Go is an app that you can get for your phone, and it lets you buy these mystery bags for a discounted price from grocery stores, bakeries, restaurants. It all depends, and sometimes you have to buy the bags you always have to buy them in advance. Sometimes you have to buy them the day before. Either way, I ended up getting so much food for so little money, and the food was delicious. I'm definitely going to be trying Too Good To Go again, and Beatty Bo was the one who introduced me to that concept, and I'm very, very thankful. So, alrighty, you guys, what is going on this June 1st for all y'all? I realized just as the clock struck 5, I forgot to upload a Lono listening break, so that's a problem. But that's okay, because we do have a couple of videos that I can show while I scrounge around in the background and fix that. But before we talk about videos, I guess, I just wanted to let everybody know, oh, anxiety meds, huh, Bainey? Yeah, well, happens to the best of us. I'm glad that you're getting that taken care of, and I definitely can appreciate the need for anxiety medications in this day and age. So, you're par for course, my friend. That's what. Don't feel ashamed. A lot of us have to be medicated. And Beanie Bo got a Mars bar chocolate cake from Farmhouse Inn tonight from Too Good To Go for half the price. Yum! Sounds delicious. Sign me right up. Speaking of chocolate, actually, you guys, have you guys? I haven't seen one of these in real life, but are you? Whoops! Hold on. Whoa! No, bad. Here's my question: what is Dubai chocolate, and why is it everywhere right now? Have you guys heard of Dubai chocolate? I keep reading about it on the interwebs. I keep hearing about it. And Beanie Bo, you've had that. And so, okay, perfect. I was just about to ask if anybody has had it, because, it's pistachio, and Kanafa crunchy bits. Yeah, and I guess it's got tahini in it as well. Well, actually, here. What it is silky pistachio cream, earthy tahini, and crunchy shards of knafe pastry. The original Dubai chocolate was launched when a British Egyptian founder, Sarah Hamouda, had an urge to create something unique to satisfy her pregnancy cravings. And I gotta tell you, once you know what those little crunchy bits are, okay, Tracy says she's been hearing a lot about it lately. Yeah, it really, Poppy Shani, it sort of seems like it came out of the blue. Like, all of a sudden, nowhere had I heard this, and then suddenly, boom, everywhere I'm hearing about it. And it really actually sounds quite delicious, because those weird looking crunchy bits that look like they're maybe dried coconut, they're not. What they are is shredded and toasted phyllo dough. Are you kidding me? Shredded and toasted phyllo dough? I can't even imagine how delicious that must be. And then that one looks like a subpar one, but I still feel like that's probably what it's going to look like in real life, because that's a real life picture. But all these other ones, right? Like, they just look a little bit decadent on a little bit too fancy. I mean, I would love to eat one that looked like that, but the likelihood of that actually happening when you break open the bar that you get personally is slim to none. But dude, seriously, you've got your tahini, which is a little bit peanut buttery, but sesame instead. Pistachio cream, dried bits, or, toasted bits of phyllo dough. Oh, Poppy Shane, you had no idea what phyllo dough is, but she just sounds right. Yeah, have you ever, I'm sure, okay, so for those of you who don't know what phyllo dough is, if you've ever had baklava, or a Greek dish like called spanakopita, phyllo, I actually don't remember how to say it, I'll tell you, and how to spell it, everybody spells it a little bit differently, but you know what, because yeah, I think I've seen it, I think I've seen it always, but it doesn't really matter. Phyllo dough, Benibo, yeah, you're Turkish, of course, so you know what it is, but you eat baklava after every meal. Oh, you lucky guy. I was gonna call you anyway, I'm not gonna, but anyway, it's like paper thin dough, and it's usually, like, it in baklava, spanakopita, it's usually layered up, there's like butter between each layer, or maybe some olive oil between each layer. Anyway, it's just the thinnest Terry in Scotland, unleavened dough used for making pastries such as baklava and borek. I don't know how to say that or what that is. But yeah, phyllo pastries are by layering, right, exactly, cooked by layering them with oil or butter. Basically, it's like it's like the puffiest puff pastry, but not necessarily puffed. It's just beautifully cooked and crispy layers of puff pastry. I mean, it's not puff pastry. Anyway, if you don't know what phyllo dough is, it's delicious. But basically, any kind of wrapped Greek dish that's like wrapped in some kind of pastry, probably wrapped in phyllo, I guess is all I'm trying to say. And so the Dubai chocolate, I'm just wondering, so it sounds like Benibo's the only one who's tried the Dubai chocolate. I was hoping, frankly, I kind of was hoping Piccola T, our world traveler, was here, where she would just be like, not only did I have Dubai chocolate, I had Dubai chocolate when I was in Dubai. Indubitably is what I expected her to say. And so I was hoping she would be here for this conversation. And let's see here. Oh, Mama Sean, I didn't see you come in. Good to see you. You just got back from an art workshop at the local artists guild in Retablo Assemblage. First workshop as a retired person. I'm not jealous of you or anything, because I'm a big liar pants, and I'm actually super jealous of you. An art workshop? That sounds so fun. I would love to have that as on my agenda of things to do as a retired person. I'm so busy. How could I possibly go back to work? That would be, yeah, that's the goal. And Terry in Scotland coming in, baklava, Ottoman Turkish, is a layered pastry dessert made of phyllo pastry filled with chopped nuts, sweetened with syrup or honey. It was one of the most popular sweet pastries of Ottoman Queen. Ottoman Queen? No, Ottoman cuisine. Yeah, and if y'all haven't had baklava, and okay, first off, you have to be able to have wheat, so there's that. And you have to be able to eat nuts, so there's that. But if you can do those two things, then you need to put some baklava in your life, okay? You need to get baklava in your life. And you stole another pub pint glass the other day. All your family's glasses are pub stolen. It's something we do here in the UK. Oh, I'm not surprised at all. I've actually done it myself. Not necessarily on purpose, but also not on purpose. I basically just needed, well, whatever. It's just a plain pub glass, though. It's nobody's logos on it, so you wouldn't. The restaurant won't be able to really trace it back to them, so I feel pretty confident. I'm in the clear on that one. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so Mama Sean, part of your if you're allowed to eat pistachios, sesame seeds, a little bit of phyllo, and chocolate, part of your put on your to-do in my retired life checklist, try Dubai chocolate. And everybody else, just put it on your regular checklist. But hers is special because hers is a retired checklist. If you're not retired, you can't have one of those yet. So just put it on your regular checklist. If you're allowed to eat those things, go try Dubai. I'm going to. They have them at Trader Joe's, apparently. No, Bainey, you don't have to because you already did. Yeah, he already knew what the assignment was before the assignment was assigned. He's got extra credit already packed up. I don't know what I'm trying to say. And let's see here. Next up, printing, I think, and trying out a new quilt pattern for designer here in another workshop. Oh my God, right on. The printing, I have always been very enamored with the idea of printing. I've always wanted to try my hand at that. And you found a tenant's lager glass on the sidewalk outside Carster Station that someone had stolen and ditched. So what is it? What? Like, real? Can you get in trouble for stealing it? Like they had, I better get rid of the evidence? I mean, I feel like once you're out of the pub with the glass in your hand, the coast is kind of clear, right? I mean, would the cops actually just be like, hey, I think you stole that because you're no longer in that. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, no, I get it. It was a secondary theft. Yeah, I would have secondary. Exactly. Well, at that point, you can put me up to a lie detector. It's like, I didn't steal it, officer. I found this on the street. I found it on the street. And hey, Trail Dust, how's it? We're talking about stealing things off of the street that have already been stolen. Specifically, pub glasses, because in the UK, it is a tradition to steal pub glasses, I guess, by the locals. And I'm not sure if the pub glasses have markings. It sounds like they might have markings of the pub they're from. But it's tradition, and, most people, I guess, in their cupboards, it's filled with stolen pub glasses. But you see, Terry in Scotland was not party to such a theft. His theft was secondhand, where he found the stolen pub glass on the street. And yes, they have the brewery's logos on them. Got it. Yeah, I figured that there was a reason to actually collect them all, as it were. Yeah, because the pub glass that I have, that's just glass, and it's a pint-sized clear glass is not really worth collecting. They're a dime a dozen, as it were. And so let's see here. Yeah, exactly, Trail Dust, right up my alley. I found it. Which, for real, I've got multiple tools in my, I'm looking at one of them right now. I'm looking at another one right now. I'm pointing to another one right now, but I can't see it because it's behind the door. But yeah, I have several. I have a ladder. I have a tree trimmer. I have a step stool. These are all things that I randomly found on the street. And I really do truly mean randomly found on the street. Not to mention my collection of cupboards, kitchen cupboards. And I know I already did a stream where I showed you that I was the cupboard whisperer and cupboards find me, because people thought it was weird that I was finding cupboards on the street. And then I stumbled upon this big cache of cupboards. So I was like, look, guys, they just exist. Just a few weeks ago, there was another section of cupboards, literally half a block from my house. They were there for a while, and I was considering grabbing them, but they were already painted, pastel. They didn't really fit my vibe, and so I decided against it. But I really did consider getting them because, well, it's a free cupboard. And now that I think about it, I could have put it outside under my shed, but too late now because it's already gone. It fell off the back of a truck. Exactly. And part of that cupboard, actually, that was up near my house, it did look like it fell off the back of a truck. But the other piece of the cupboard looked perfectly fine. Yeah, so there you go. Alrighty, so, speaking of falling off the back of trucks, y'all, apparently, yes, Molly's home for wayward cupboards. Yes, I do resemble that remark. Absolutely. and it just occurred to me that my home is big enough for more cupboards. And so now I will be on the lookout for more cupboards to bring into my nest. Speaking of into my nest, how about that for a silly segue? I've got this series of pictures of this eagle. This eagle flew out of his nest to try to swoop down on a blue heron and get the fish from the heron. But it didn't quite work out that way. You see, this 2-year-old bald eagle came off the lake this morning trying to steal a heron's fish. The heron swallowed it before the eagle got there. Then a red-winged blackbird started harassing the eagle and actually landed on its back. And then the eagle had to tip his head up to look at him upside down. So here we go. Disappointed eagle, not really in its nest, had to leave its nest to try to grab a fish, stealing. The fish just fell off the back of a truck, it said. And then that red-winged blackbird totally was like, woo, woo, woo. I'm the cops. Look at my sirens. I'm coming in to arrest you for attempted theftery. And then he's like, look, I've got you. I got you. You're under arrest, you big old 2-year-old eagle. And I'm going to just bring you in under the guise of illegal fisheries. And then he said, no, you know what? I didn't get a warrant. I better go. And then the eagle looked at him and said, that's right, you Redwing. You ain't got nothing on me, copper. And then he had to tilt his head all the way back. I ain't afraid of you. I ain't afraid of you. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly how that went down. But perhaps that's not how it went down. Perhaps it went down a completely different way. Either way, I thought that the series of pictures was kind of cool. So let's look at that again, only this time without the voiceover, shall we? Oh, but speaking of voiceovers, you know what I should have done? This.
Aina koue e kule, keuli ho ide kaua. Step on the gas pedal, going my way. Keuli ne kauila, we ride,
All right, there we go. That was the silent version. That was the reprise. But yeah, I thought that I figured that, there had to have been a conversation between that red-winged blackbird and the eagle. And I also have to tell you that red-winged blackbird, very clever, and I'm sure that a lot of birds know this, but very much landed exactly where that eagle couldn't do anything about it. Not with his beak, not with his wings, not with the nothing, right? So, Tiki expects me to hold him up here. Yes, I'm not at all surprised. Not at all surprised about that, Chuck. Not at all surprised. He is your little Velcro Tiki. And, he just needs to stay warm and cuddly. And you're warm and cuddly. And let's see here. Wow, you've saved like 450 pounds on or so on Good to Go. I'm not at all surprised, Benny, because the amount of food that I got was huge, and it was for literally half the price. So let's see here, Terrell, you're waiting for the Spanish version. Oh yeah, no, don't look in my direction for that. Although actually, that could probably be really funny, just because I don't speak Spanish at all. So if someone wrote out what I was supposed to say, and I don't really know how to read and pronounce, I can, listening to me mispronounce Spanish words. Come on, it took me how long to figure out how to say chicharrones, and I'm still unsure if I'm saying it right, because I always called them chicharrones, and people are like, what the flying fork is that? It's like, I don't know. They're the things with the bubbly pork skins, but I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to say nothing in Spanish. Oh, yeah, anyway. Yo quiero una pupusa revuelta? Yo quiero... Wait, I don't even know what... Yo... Oh, I just snorted. I don't think that was perfect. I just said I wanted a mixed pupusa. Okay, I did know Yo quiero because of the Taco Bell dog back in the day. Do you remember, for those of you who are from the 1900s, do you remember the, Yo quiero Taco Bell Chihuahua dog? Or maybe that was the early 2000s, I don't know. So I knew that one from that. And chicharrones are fried pig fat. Right, exactly. But but the way I don't think I say it right. I think people from Texas get really angry at the way I say a lot of words. Rightfully so, because I massacre them so in ways that they just never would even imagine they could be massacred. Sort of like when people not from here try to say squim. It's just like, oh, you're so not from here. And and by the way, Emi's like, welcome in. I don't think I said hello to you. But good to see you. And it's like, all right, naked sock puppets in Spanish. Yeah, Yo quiero Taco Bell. ¿Por qué no las dos? Yo quiero Taco Bell. ¿Por qué no las dos? Those are about the only things that I can say with any confidence. And so let's see here. You're accused of having a bad accent in Spanish by a white lady. I guess, if she's a white Hispanic lady who speaks fluently, she has a place to speak on that, but it sounds like she might not have been a white Latina. So yeah, that's so silly. Yeah. and also not also actually, it is really silly because if you listen to, there's, comedians who've touched on this topic for a million times in a million different ways, but like, if you listen to someone from Venezuela, someone from Mexico, someone from Cuba, someone from the Dominican Republic, someone from Argentina, all saying the exact same Spanish phrase, it's gonna sound so different because they all speak Spanish so differently. And so because the accent is just every regional, every type of Spanish has its own accent, and so it's like to even say like what a good accent is sort of seems a little presumptuous anyway. I mean, obviously for a white person to be telling another white person, anybody who's a native speaker can judge all they want. I'm not taking that away from them. Even Spain, especially Spain, perfect example, eMusic, perfect example, especially Spain. So, and Mama Sean, Chicharrón. Yeah, see, that's Chicharrón. See, then I don't know where to put I feel like I'm emphasizing the wrong syllable. Terry in Scotland, you've heard that Mexican Spanish is the slowest and Puerto Rican is the fastest. I definitely think that wait, hold on. Hold on. Oh, yeah, you did. It did. Oh, yeah, it did derail the chat, but that's okay because that's the whole. The chat has officially scattered, which is the whole point of this. But you didn't derail anything. You just gave us a whole new track, which is perfect. Sometimes the chat is a roller coaster, right? And yeah, Puerto Rican being the fastest, I think that it is. But I also feel like all of the Caribbean / that area where they speak Spanish, like the Dominican and stuff, I think they're all really fast. Cuba being the definite outlier there. But it seems like all the other, other outlier, those islands, they speak Spanish pretty quickly too. And of course, says Shock, this lady, a friend of mine, assumes there's only one way to do anything, and of course, it's her way. Right, so you didn't take too much offense. Yeah, exactly. Right, see, okay, there you go, Mama Sean. You were learning Russian, and a native speaker said you spoke Russian with a Bulgarian accent. Right, see? That's either because the person that was teaching you had one, or that's just how your brain interprets the proper Russian accent, whatever. But at least it was an accent that was sort of like, it wasn't like you were putting a Southern accent, like a Southern United States accent on a French word, and it's just like, I don't even know how you're speaking French like that, honey. That is not how French is pronounced. That word in French is, at least they were able to be like, oh, yeah, there's something different about your tone, but at least that accent belongs with that. That accent belongs with this language still, yes. And hey, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday, good to see you. Hey, PPP Bang, I think I don't know if I saw PPP Bang come in, but Terry's saying hi to him, so hey. And yes, Pamplemousse, that's exactly it. That's precisely it. I learned Russian from having angry Russians yell at me in games. Oh, that's a good way that is a really good way to learn. And I've heard very fast Spanish from speakers. Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah, I remember actually there was this comedian in Seattle. She was Hispanic, but she was one of the ones that her family was ashamed of because she couldn't speak Spanish, whereas half of her family totally fluent speakers, the other half totally not. but she said, so I can't speak Spanish. She's like, but I can speak English fast enough that you think I am speaking Spanish. And I thought that was kind of funny because, Spanish is spoken so quickly. And they launched Pamplemousse Monster Energy over here. Oh, okay, right on. I don't do Monster, but I wouldn't be surprised if we've got one over here too. That being said, most people probably call it by the right name, but I stick by Pamplemousse, especially since, okay, so for those of you who might not know, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday, I'm kind of looking in your direction. I drink LaCroix, the grapefruit flavored LaCroix, which they've got labeled. The French word for grapefruit is pamplemousse. That's how you actually are supposed to say it. But it really is, it's spelled pamplemousse, And so I just call it Pamplemousse. And for people who speak French, when I say it like that, it grates under their skin like nobody's business, which is sort of then it's like, hee, now I'm doing it on purpose. I say it very wrong on purpose, noticeably. It's intentional. And as a joke. But then on Reservation Dogs, it's a really phenomenal television show that we watched on the cinema for a while. They actually referred to it as Pamplemousse. They were sending someone to the store, and these roofers were putting on a roof, and they sent the kid like, hey, if you're going to the store, grab me some of that LaCroix Pamplemousse. And later on they did, and you saw the guy drinking my exact flavor. And so I thought it was really funny that I know that they didn't get it from me. So obviously, I really do think that Pamplemousse is... French people are going to really hate it, but in the United States, I think that it's going to be the de facto pronunciation of that word. No matter how many times you correct us, I think that we're all just not gonna do it that way. I just have a feeling that we are going to create in our American, it's not even an accent at this point, right? Hold on. Where did it go? Let's see here. So wait, she speaks fluent French, but she says speak quicker and quicker. They speak quicker and quicker all the time. Your dad's native language was Spanish. He wouldn't allow us to speak Spanish in the house. Oh gosh, that is too bad, because knowing two languages is so helpful for brains and brain development. I mean, obviously, there's political reasons and there's a lot of reasons why languages weren't allowed to be spoken in homes. I get that, but we know now that knowing more than one language is so helpful, right? And Baby Bo, isn't Reservation Dogs the movie that got me banned for showing the bum? No, but yes, but no. I'll explain in just a second, but let me go back. Terry, yeah, Pamplemousse is a grapefruit. And let's see here. Pamplemousse is a distinct... Wait. Pamplemousse is a distinct district of Mauritius in the northwest of the island. It's one of the most densely populated islands. I don't even know what... I don't know what... I don't know where you're talking about there, Terry. But yeah, exactly. Offend the French. How could that be? And anyway, okay, so Bandy Bo, to explain, first off, Reservation Dogs wasn't a movie. It was actually a TV series of 3 seasons that we watched over the span of many weeks. But you are correct. One of the episodes got me in trouble on YouTube. However, it wasn't for a butt. It was because someone reported me because of nudity, but there wasn't nudity. So I appealed it, and they said, you're right, there wasn't nudity, but you still abused our terms of service because you're showing copyrighted material and you're not supposed to. So I got dinged for that. The first time I got banned from YouTube was for a movie where Gary Farmer showed his butt, but that movie was called Pow Wow Highway. Phenomenal movie, by the way. But yeah, you totally got the picture right, just the details were a little bit off. And so hey Duro, good to see you here. And let's see here. Oh no, you're getting the stink eye because I refused to put my right arm down as a sling for the cat. Uh-oh. Yep, there you go. And let's see here. Mrs. A says that it will happen if you say things correctly in French. People in the U.S. will think you are wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and the French Canadian people, if they go to France, those, like, they're both speaking French, but they're not speaking the same French at all. They have a very hard time communicating, apparently, from what I understand. And let's see here. Right, yeah, your dad said it was because he had a hard time in school and he didn't want us to be at that disadvantage. No, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. And let's see here. Your grandma didn't speak English until she was about 8, and they wouldn't teach your mom Norwegian since they were American kids, but my parents... but my grandparents would argue in Norwegian. Oh, of course they would. And Martitious rhymes with vicious. Cool. And this is horrifying to admit, y'all, I don't know what Martitious is. I don't know where it is. I'm on a map. I couldn't begin to guess, to point to anywhere. Feeling a little shameful. Mauritius? It's an island nation. I had that idea that it was, but islands can be in a lot of places, except for in the middle of like Russia or China and stuff. But or Brazil, or the United States of America, not in the middle. Okay, so this is in the Indian Ocean. Okay, this is making way more sense that I wouldn't know where it's at. We had the contract for the whole country's outbound long distance. My company used to sell the voice over IP telephone. Oh, well, no wonder you know where it's at. Yeah, I understood. I knew it was a map. Or I knew it was a map. No, I knew it was an island. But okay, all right. Yeah, well, we do need to get out a map. But unfortunately, I don't have the map. What I do have is, let's see here. I've got, which do I've got? Let's see here. Yeah, you had no idea I'm one ahead of you. Well, honestly, I wasn't 1000% sure it was an island. I figured it was either an island or like maybe a peninsula off of I knew it was watery somehow. Anyway. Okay, so we have a bit of a problem here because I do not have a Lono listening break. So, but I kind of do. I don't know, we'll see. But let's see here. I don't know what to do. But I do know this. I saw this on the internet today, and I know it doesn't mean what... I know what it really means. But when I scanned through it, all I could think of was, oh no, when has it been illegal? When has it been illegal for people under 55 to take showers? Over 55s in the USA are eligible for showers in these states. Some states, people over 55 have to take a bath. They're not allowed. They're not eligible for showers. But if you live in the proper state and you're over 55, you may be eligible to take a shower. That's really what I thought when I saw this ad. And I guess, I don't know. I don't know. I guess, like, it made me giggle because I've been breaking the law this whole time. I'm not 55 yet, and I have been taking showers. I'm not eligible for showers, as it turns out. I didn't care. I don't want a bath. I'm taking a shower. That's right. I am taking a shower because I don't care if I'm eligible. And that's what I have to say about that. I'm a rebel. And maybe the Naked Sock Puppets would sing a Lono tune. Yeah, that would be the last thing anyone would want to see, including the Naked Sock Puppets. But they are. But that little, they're eligible for a shower, blah blah blah. Here's the deal with that, y'all. It's such a good idea in theory, right? You got this walk-in shower, walk-in tub. It's got a little door in the side, and you can walk in, you can sit down, and now you can sit in your tub, and you fill the tub with the water. And you're sitting in the tub where the water's hot, and you're doing your shower bath thing. Awesome. Okay, so now you're done with your shower bath thing, right? So you need to drain the water. But the water only drains so fast. But you have to drain the water before you get out, because you cannot open the door until you drain the water. So you get to sit all wet, waiting for the water to drain out of the tub before you can open the door to leave the tub. Is that how those work? Because that's how it looks to me they work, and I don't really know. Like, on paper, that was a really good idea, but in reality, is that really what they wanted to do with the showers and the old people? You have a shower curtain, the water goes down the drain right away. Yeah, which is good, and some drains do probably drain right away, but I've lived in a lot of houses that even when the pipe is clean, it just doesn't drain very fast. So, and how do you check eligibility? Which states? Oh, I'm sure there was a link to click for that, which I did not click the link because I just giggled at the headline. As I was scrolling through, I was like, what? I haven't been eligible for a shower yet? Oh my goodness. Once I get to be 55, I will be eligible for a shower. It made me giggle, and so I just had to giggle. All right, so now we're 2 minutes past the Lono listening break, so I normally don't play this now because I play this anyway. This is a Lono listening break. It's a little bit short, but yeah, here we go. And normally we play this at the end if we have room for Lono at the end. This is usually played at the end, but we're not at the end yet. We're only about halfway through. All right, there we go. All right, wait, that was really weird. I don't know why that ended like that. But here we go. So, Terry in Scotland says that you would want to shower after after you let's see, after you rode on a Greyhound across Texas, you wouldn't care about eligibility for a shower. Absolutely. I have not ridden across Texas on a Greyhound, but I did go from Austin, Texas to Atlanta, Georgia on a Greyhound, 24-hour road trip. I dare say that that is just as good, if not worse, than the across the Texas situation, especially since it was in July. So, yeah, so there's that. And it looks like we got Kenny from the Cove coming in. Good to see you there, Kenny. Let's see here. So you've ridden through Texas on a Greyhound during the summer? Yeah, Mead Music. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, exactly. You'd bathe in any pond after any Greyhound ride. Pretty much, without a doubt. All right, so let's see here. I was trying to do a thing, and let's see here. B.O. exactly. And hey, Terry in Scotland, what a perfect segue. Speaking of bees. Oh.
Recovery operations are complete tonight in Whatcom County after a semi-truck carrying millions of honeybees crashed near Linden yesterday, releasing the insects into the wild. Thank you for joining us tonight on King 5. I'm Madison Wade. Check out this new video we got of the massive swarm happening where this crash occurred. Beekeepers who were on scene estimate about 14 million bees escaped during this rollover crash early yesterday morning. They say hundreds of hives slipped off the truck and broke apart. 20% of the bees sadly died in the crash. That's nearly 3 million bees. Teams had to rebuild every single hive and move them off of the road where most of the bees rejoined their colonies. We spoke with beekeeper Derek Condit, who has been helping with the recovery, about what comes next.
They're going to swarm in the nearby farm fields, the local forest, the trees, and they'll either, depending if the queen bees survived, start their colony out there in nature and become wild bees, or a percentage will join local native colonies as well.
Condit is confident that nearly all of the bees will survive thanks to the rural location and time of year. He says neighbors should not be alarmed about bees swarming in the area.
Leave the swarms alone, and if you see bees, don't swat at them, and especially if it's a swarm, they will move on. They're just getting oriented or acclimated. We'll say they're not going to stay under that eave of your house or on that tree branch. Don't spray them with hoses or anything like that. And bees don't want to sting us or attack. That's only if they feel in danger. So really just give them their space, and that's how we can best help them right now.
Condit says another way people can help is by putting out water for the bees. Beekeepers will be on site monitoring the bees' behavior for the next several days. And White Camp Road is now back open to traffic.
All right, sorry about that technical difficulty. I was trying to do something and it did not take the time I thought it would. So let's see here. Michael Anthony Smith in the house, coming in from a church day and a nap. That is a wonderful. Glad you could wake up and come join us here, Mr. Man. And let's see here. Kenny's saying I used to ride from Central Texas to New Orleans back in the 70s pretty regularly, and it was always in the summer. I'm sure that bus smelled great. And Terry in Scotland saw an article about the bees. Yes, and Andy's bees are not doing as well as those bees are, unfortunately. It looks like Andy's hive is, well, either Andy's hive is slowly finding some other place to go, or it is slowly dying off, I guess, because it looks like the queen is still on that branch. It seems like there's less workers around her. I'm very curious what that's going to be. I was going to show a video that Andy shared with me, but I downloaded it improperly, and it just not at a high enough resolution, and I didn't realize that until about 2 minutes before the stream, so I didn't have time to correct that. But ultimately, if you want to check out the bees and what Andy's bees are doing, Boomatize Bees, he has several videos on Andy Boomatize on his own YouTube channel, and you can see the swarm and how it has evolved over the past week or so. And Michael Anthony Smith, you are not the only one. I absolutely miss Andy as well. But you know, he has got his mind, he's got different focus now. He's doing a lot of video editing, he's doing his stand-up comedy. I think it sounds like last time I talked to him, his studio is completely torn apart and not torn apart, but completely redeveloped and redesigned, basically with video editing in mind and not video production. So the likelihood of seeing a pop-up show seems to be less and less. That being said, we all know that Andy has the ability to rig up a something or other quick like a bunny with the random bubblegum, paperclip, and wire clothes hanger. He could probably, with that alone, he could probably find a way to go online. And so, exactly, Stream Elements telling us Andy is focused on stand-up for the next little while, but may stream unexpectedly, so hit the bell on his channels. We're super hubboot and miss him. That is exactly it. And Mama Sean, you should just call a beekeeper so they don't lose those bees. Oh my God, Mama Sean, let me just tell you right now. Yes, he should. And yes, he did. And so did I. I said, like, actually, first off, I did something that I don't recommend y'all do, okay? I butted in on this one, and I became involved because I became a little bit more invested in the bees than I should have been. But I started doing internet research on local beekeepers, doing Facebook searches for beekeeping clubs, etc., and I definitely reached out to tons of individuals, organizations, groups, professionals, lay people, etc. on the island, and for the most part, not a lot of people were, some people were off island, some people referred me to other people, but they couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. There wasn't a lot, it's an island, right? There just wasn't a lot of resources available, it seems like. And so finally I said, hey, Andy, my neighbor is a beekeeper. Is it okay if I hook you up with him and he can maybe at least, like, I know you don't want to keep the bees, but do you want, dude can't help you. He's in my state, not yours, but at least he can be someone on the phone being like, oh, do this, don't do that, worry about this, don't worry about that. So I eventually hooked him up with my neighbor. And ultimately my neighbor, who is the beekeeper, said that he wasn't really surprised that people weren't coming to pick the swarm up because the swarm is very small. Frankly, I don't feel like that should matter, but apparently it does. And he also was saying because the swarm is so small, there's a likelihood that it won't survive. And which is, I guess, why the people aren't bothering to come out. So now why that is, I don't know enough, and I didn't query him enough. Him and Andy have talked about it. Andy mentioned it on one of his videos in the comments. So I know that my friend and him are in touch now. I'm still very vested in the bee saga, but it truly seems like help on the islands was just not there right now for whatever reason. And ultimately it's not like if I were, because I looked it up or whatever, and what Andy needed, a piece of equipment that Andy needs is called, it's a nucleus box, or they call a nuke box or a nuck box. I'm not sure how they pronounce it in the thing. It's an NUC box, and it stands for nucleus box. And basically it's just a super small hive, and they use them to gather small swarms and to help the swarms get established. You can put like 5 little frames so they can start their little, journey. And nucleus boxes you can get it for less than $20 each. and the frames that go in them are less than $5 each. Very affordable, right? Right, excellent. Now, double that cost for the shipping to Hawaii. Now, how much longer is it going to take? It's one thing to ship something from Oregon to Washington. It's another thing to ship something from Oregon to Hawaii. The swarm might move by the time it gets there. And, you know, and really, literally, had Andy, like, known the very first day that swarm showed up, oh my God, I need to order a nucleus box from the mainland right now. Well, it's day 8. He probably would have just been getting the nucleus box, and his hive or his swarm is already diminishing. You know, so you can't, what I'm trying to say is you can't just go to City Mill and buy a beehive. There aren't a whole lot of bee supply stores on the island. Trust me, I looked. And so ultimately he would have been forced to buy something online. And buying something online, I'm coming at this story from the backwards. But buying something online would have taken too long to get there. So hopefully, my beekeeper friend is wrong and that they will survive. Hopefully, the waning of the population is due to a dispersion and a finding a home rather than dying off. We'll see. But I do know, though, this is a really interesting learning experience because, quite honestly, I was thinking, gosh, you know, if they've been there for so long, I kind of expected to start seeing them build some sort of hive, but I guess I don't know. I just have to wonder, like, oh, well, what are the conditions? What conditions are right for them to start building that wax comb? Because as we saw in a couple streams ago, bees don't have to have a box. I mean, it's better for them if you're going to be harvesting them. You know, you need the box if you're going to be harvesting the honey. But bees form in the wild, and they don't have a box. And yes, Terry, that is right. The incident with the bees in Washington is not unprecedented. We had a couple million bees, 14 million bees, as it turns out, escape in Seattle. And I didn't remember that they stung a whole bunch of people, but I'm not surprised that they did because they were traumatized. The last thing a European honeybee wants to do is sting you because basically they're committing suicide. You know, that they're going to die when they sting you. So it's kind of literally a last resort for them. But, you know, I've just been in a horrible jackknife truck car accident. I'm a little stressed, okay? I understand, little bee. All right, so now that we're talking about bees, I want to go back to the birds for just a second, you guys. So I don't know if you remember, but we've talked about these eagles before. It's these eagles are Gizmo and Sunny. They're the Big Bear Valley eagles, and they're the little eaglets that started out. Their mom, Jackie, and their dad, Shadow, had 3 eggs, which was lovely hatches, or, you know, lovely brood, and all 3 of them hatched, which was so awesome. So awesome. Unfortunately, one of the 3 did not make it. But then there were 2, Gizmo and Sunny. And they are born a few days apart, maybe a week apart. So their development is a little bit, is not identical. I think Sunny is the older one. So Sunny is the one who is now thinking about taking the first leap off the nest. And I just want to share this with you because, first off, the viewpoint and the angle is breathtaking. And to see this bird that has never flown before trying to see if it knows how, and if you see where it, you better be sure you know how, because if you don't, Anyway, not too often do we get to see a bird literally in the air for maybe its first time in its life. So I wanted to share this video. Alrighty, I don't know why the video froze there, but that doesn't really matter because we all saw the whoo, and then it got swooped back, and he was like, "All right, I gotta land now." Whoo, boy, howdy, that was a little much. But yeah, exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha. No practice, better get it right the first time, because if you're talk about a leap of faith that those eagles are taking the first time they leave the nest, and it was a little bit. Oh, just watching that bird made my heart go a little flitter flatter. And Miss Say says the bird is almost as afraid as she was before her first solo haircut as a cosmetologist. Oh, I bet. Oh my goodness. I have cut my friend's hair. Now it's okay. Let me rephrase that. I've cut hair before, not legally, not trained, not nothing. And some haircuts, it's no big deal. Oh, you want me to trim the awfulness off the back of your long straight hair? Yeah, I can do that. That's no big deal. But one time, one of my friends wanted me, he had just this overgrown, shaggy hair, and he was just like, I just need it cut off. And I was like, well, why don't you shave it? And I was like, no, I don't want it that. Like, just cut my hair for me. Now, that would have been okay-ish. I probably wouldn't have been nearly as intimidated, except for he was a hairstylist for at least a decade. And so I'm like, you mean I have to cut a hairstylist's hair? And I've never, why are you doing this to me? It was the most nerve-wracking thing. It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my flippin' life. And I can totally, because it's just like, oh my God, it's not, if I cut wrong, it's not going to come back. Like, as it turns out, I did okay, but only because he was able... Oh, yeah. All I know is, the first time you cut someone's hair, And, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday, any landing you walk away from is a successful flight. That is true. That is very true. Poppy Shaney, if he's here, can definitely sign off on that statement. And Mama Sean saying, Dr. Steve did... but he is watching TV with his eyes closed, so I can't ask him. Nice. He's watching the radio is what he's doing now. There you go. All right, so yeah, we had the birds, we had the bees. Let's see, what else do we have? Would you like more about nature? Do you want to learn more about nature? This time it's about kitty cats. And snakes. Kitty cats and snakes. You want to learn about them? Oh, you know what? You're going to learn about them anyway. This was a video that I thought was really cool. C Honda shared it with me maybe a week ago. And yeah, exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha. At least he wasn't paying for the cut. Precisely. That actually would make all the difference in the world. It would have made it 10 times more intimidating to cut his hair, for sure. And, no, we're not going to learn about the monkey. Well, actually, we might talk about monkeys a little bit, because I have a question now that you bring that up. But this is something that C Honda, sent to me, and I thought it was pretty cool. So, let's see here. Oh wait, Kenny from the Cove, when I go for my monthly haircut, all the ladies at that shot start smiling because they know my haircut will be the easiest, fastest cut they do all day, and they're gonna get a tip. Yep, there you go. Just make it look good and clean, ladies. We're done. Here you go. All right, well, speaking of we're done, The Birds and the Bees and the Monkeys was one of their albums. Oh, well, this is the Birds and the Bees and the kitties and the snakies, all in the Everglades.
Rattlesnakes to pythons, biologists at the Conservancy of Southwest Florida believe one of their scout Burmese pythons.
Moral of the story, the Everglades is fighting back.
So what could it mean for these apex predators? Gulf Coast News reporter Ryan Arbogast gives us a look.
Over 50 pounds and 13 feet long, but dead, with its neck ripped apart, buried under the brush. Somehow, something killed this apex predator.
Very quickly, we figured out he's dead, and it turned into a bit of this is a crime scene to some degree. CSI crime scene wildlife.
Ian Bartosek was on a regularly scheduled tracking mission over the winter, using one of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida's 40-plus Scout snakes, equipped with these transmitters to find female Burmese pythons and their eggs deep into the wilderness. He never expected to find his
MVP, a most valuable python,
taken out.
That's a win for the home team. I was impressed. We all tend to like animals that punch above their weight class. And so here was a native animal pushing back against an invasive apex predator.
The Conservancy's Python team, with the help of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, known in the building as
A bit of a special forces unit, if you will.
quickly put up a trail cam, because usually predators come back the very next day.
Walking across the log, returning to the scene of the crime was a adult bobcat.
The biologists at the Conservancy of Southwest Florida say that they found this dead snake about 15 miles into the deep part of the Everglades. Now, they say they've seen interactions like this before, but believe that it means the ecosystem is fighting back against invasives.
25-pound cat killed and cached a 52-pound python.
It's a fight over the homeland they believe will continue.
So that gives me hope.
Reporting in the Florida Everglades, Ryan Arbogast, Gulf Coast News.
That kitty doesn't need no hunting pass. Bobcat, 25 pounds, took out the 50-plus pound huge python, which, by the way, did you hear what they said? They have 40 pythons that they use as tracking snakes to go scout out where the female snakes and their broods are. That is insane to me. I mean, it's not insane. It's brilliant, actually, but it also seems so weird. Like, wait, I mean, I get the bigger picture. It just seems counterintuitive that the department that's in charge of eradicating the snakes also happens to have 40 of them at their 39 of them at their disposal now, because, well, one of them got killed. But but yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting topic of an interesting way of controlling the invasive population. And Michael Anthony Smith, to bring my question about the monkeys in it, and if Pussycat's here, he would probably know. Do they have monkeys in Florida? And I realized, like, I don't think they have monkeys naturally in Florida. I don't think that that's a native. But that doesn't mean that there aren't monkeys in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, are monkeys another thing that's in the Everglades that we need to worry about? I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm literally like, I'm not trying to start a rumor. I'm just wondering. The Everglades has a lot of invasive species. That's all I'm saying. And are monkeys yet another one? A cat that badass isn't a bobcat. That bad rascal is definitely a Robert cat. Yes, exactly. That is, actually, no, Kenny, that is Sir Robert Cat to you and I. Sir Robert Cat Esquire, actually, I think is his entire title. Sir Robert Cat Esquire at your service. Yes. And so, Michael Anthony Smith, you're not sure. Yeah, and if Pussycat was here, I'm sure he could tell us, but I don't think he's here because I've already called him out. Pussycat. And no, I don't think that, I feel confident that, okay, first off, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I agree with you, Michael Anthony Smith. I don't think they're indigenous to the United States. But pythons aren't either. And there's a lot of things that end up in the Everglades that end up being able to survive that aren't supposed to be there. And I just happen to wonder, like, did somebody have a pet monkey once and then just, like, let them go? Because that totally sounds like something someone would do. And now we've got monkeys in the Everglades or whatever. You know, I'm just curious. That's all. But it sounds like none of y'all know, so I'm gonna guess that no, that's one thing we don't have here in in the United States. Of course, now that I've said that, someone's going to be like, oh no, in 1987 there was a hurricane that busted up a private zoo and all these monkeys escaped. We're not sure where they went, but we know they're still there. Because that, by the way, that's a Florida accent. That's how they talk in Florida. No, not really. Alrighty, so let's see here. I guess since we're talking about dead things or something, and birds, so I suppose this fits. This is all usually a little bit about the birds. A couple streams ago, I don't remember what we were talking about, but somebody, and I am not going to say who because I really can't remember, but I feel like it was Kenny from the Cove, but Kenny, I'm not like trying to call you out. And actually, well, and if I am, if it was you, I'm stoked it was you. Whoever it was, somebody, and I didn't mention it at the time, but it did catch my eye. Somebody mentioned something about this massive bird death situation in Chicago. And so I went and looked into it, and I found this really cool video about that very thing, which it's a horrible thing, but it's actually a good thing at the end. So before we watch that, we have got Darlene coming in from the north and visiting Rick's brother up north. Just a quick aloha. We'll catch up once back. Take care all. Super stoked to see you are still vaguely around, but I'm very shocked to see you here today and so happy you could come in for a quick little minute. I didn't expect you to have any internets where you're at, but indeedly do. I'm so glad that you're using some of your internets to say hello to us. And with that, with the little birdies in mind, this is something that honestly, okay, there's an orangutan in Palm Beach sometimes. Right, an orange again. That's true. That's very true. And you know, actually, I've got to say, his hair is very reminiscent of that creature's hair. And you could, what creature? Either way, either direction, it works anyway. But all right, you guys. So this is something that hopefully your town will never have to deal with. But I have a feeling that there's a need for this kind of thing in almost every big city. And I definitely feel like there's probably a need for this kind of thing in cities in cities with migratory routes, but especially like lakeside cities and probably even seaside cities as well. But I would say lakeside cities particularly. So let's check out what awful thing happened in Chicago and then what the awesome thing is that they did to fix it.
This one is a northern water thrush and another Nashville warbler and a spectacular rose-breasted grosbeak.
We were notified of the event that took place, and that's what put us into action to find what we can do to help.
Last year was 1,000, 1,500 birds in the fall. The year before was close to 1,000. This fall has been a total of 50. I have no hesitancy in saying this is an effective way to avoid collisions. There are lots and lots of solutions out there, and maybe each building requires something slightly different, but this certainly seems to be working here. It's time to look forward, be pleased, use this as an example for other buildings, and maybe reduce this massive cause of bird deaths across the whole country.
All right, Michael Anthony Smith is back, and that was the inexpensive solution to a very huge problem. I don't know if you were reading the subtitles and checking the stats, but 1,000 to 1,500 birds every year were smashing into that building. And the year that they put up the glass deterrent, or the covering on the glass to make the glass more noticeable to the birds, only 50 birds collided. That is, that when it comes to science, that is pretty good statistics. We'll see, obviously, if those statistics can continue that trend in the future, but I would say 2 years in a row probably proves irrefutably that that type of technology absolutely flippin' works. And so I want to thank you guys for hanging out. It's about 25 minutes to the bottom of the hour, and Darlene's got to head out because on Brother's signal, and it's not very good. So glad you could hang out, even if for just a second, Darlene, and tell Rick aloha from all of us, or at least from me. I guess I'm not going to speak for everybody here, but I'm thinking maybe I am. And waiting to see if you can catch some Northern Lights. Fantastic. Yeah, I think we're scheduled to get them here too. It's really, as usual, just a case of will we have a clear sky? And I'm literally, as you can see, I'm checking my weather app right now, and it looks like we will have a clear sky. So, hoping Darlene and I and Rick and Brother Rick and anybody else in the proper positions can look up and see eMusic being the exactly perfect position for that. Hopefully look up, see some fancy pants lights in the sky, and we can all go, my, oh my. That's what I gotta say. It'll make us want to fly. Okay, I should probably stop, because now we're getting into hand puppet territory. But I want to thank you guys. Yes, exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha. Light pollution is a huge ordeal for birds as well. Yeah, so many things the light pollution is an issue for. As we've mentioned before, the hatchling turtles on the beaches, and like in Florida, they've got times of the year where the street lights aren't allowed to shine because the turtles, generally they hatch when there's a good full moon over the water, and their instinct is to go towards the light of the moon reflecting off the water. That's how they find the ocean. But when you've got a whole bunch of street lights on one side of the beach and you've got a whole bunch of moonlight on the other side of the beach, the little baby turtles don't understand which there's light everywhere. Which light am I supposed to go to? Am I supposed to go across the highway towards that light? Or am I supposed to go across the sand towards the water light? Because they're babies, they don't know. And so in Florida, they have it so you're gonna they have a lighting situation where they turn the lights off, basically, for the turtles. And let's see here. Oh, trail dust. Don't know if you'll see anything through the Canadian fire smoke. Good point. Good point. Yeah, you're not probably in you're not necessarily in the best spot, depending upon where where the smoke is drifting. And Michael Anthony Smith, yeah, you might be, if it's dark enough, you might be in an area to go see. I don't know what light pollution's like in your area, but you might be high enough north, far enough north to catch them. I don't know what time they're planning on peaking. I'm going to have to look that. Well, why don't we just look that up right now? Unless Darlene's there, and Rick and Darlene can tell us. But let's see here. Northern Lights forecast. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of words. I'm not sure what time it'll be, so I can't tell you what time. Everybody will have to look up their own time frame for when the Northern Lights might show up. And eMusic, several households in Hawaii have been punished for leaving their lights on. Yeah, I mean, come on. If you're going to live near the beach, you need to respect the rules of the beach, and you need to do it for a reason. Otherwise, you don't need to be, I don't care how much money you've got, you don't need to be on the beach. If you don't understand what you need to do to live there, you don't need to be there. Period. And Terry, will I be high enough? Will I be high enough to touch the sky where the Northern Lights live? No. But will I be high enough for a Sunday night? Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right, so let's see here. It looks like all of us have maybe potential plans for Northern Lights tonight, except for the people who are located in Hawaii or in the Southern Hemisphere or lower than the northern states. But Michael Anthony Smith, I'm looking actually at... yeah, dude, if you live in the sticks enough... Hold on, wait. That's Pennsylvania. Yeah, you might be able to. It looks like it's possible, but not as likely as for me, and definitely more likely for... I dare say that the person who is going to most likely see them tonight is eMusic. And then I definitely think that Rick and Darlene are going to be the second most likely ones. I have a chance, according to the little globe map that I just looked at, but not as good of a chance as those further northerny folk. All right, so Kenny from the Cove is giving me a 2-minute warning, but I'm looking at my clock and seeing that it's already 2 minutes, so I think it is the bottom of the hour, which means it is time to wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for hanging out, subscribing, and resubscribing. Gift subbing if we had one. I'm not sure if we did, but if we did, I want to thank you, and I want to thank all the mods for being here, even though I don't think we had a reason to have our swords out. And I want to thank all the chatters. I want to thank all the chatterers, because I'll tell you what, you guys, this episode was for the birds. This episode went to the birds. What's that saying where it's all, it's all messed up, it's all hamajang? It went to the birds. It was for the birds. That's it. That's what this was all about, the birds. And a little bit of bees. All right, you guys. See you on Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. And I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Let's start the week together tomorrow. All right. Have a good one.